This month on Black in One Piece.
If you're white, you can be in media and arts and business, and you have this freedom to fail.
At no point should you be offended walking into this space and you see black dolls, black pens, because representation matters.
I want to be a part of the narrative where we overcome resistance and move towards innovation, where we spark creativity, collaboration, and connections.
Leaning into community, we're stronger together.
When you have kids, they're like disgruntled employers and also disgruntled customers. I love my kids. They're on my socks. We want to make sure we're present for them.
Reimagining what it looks like to be a business owner. Some people are like, her hours are inconsistent. I had to make myself a priority. That first 6 months, I got sick because I was working so much.
My value isn't up for debate. I will not beg to sit at anyone else's table.
Each day we strive to make it Black home, Black to the future, Black in one piece. Where being Black is a bop, like a song we replay every 3 minutes and 30 seconds of every day. Where being Black is a vibe, all the time. You're listening to TMBP Media with your host, Dr. Tasha.
Welcome back to Black in One Piece. Today, we are back at the Advanced Learning Library for Part 3 of the Amplify 365 series, honoring and celebrating Black life, history, and culture 24/7, 365, not just in Black History Month. So we felt it appropriate to invite a panel of local Black entrepreneurs who are moving and shaking and making a positive impact in our community to share some of their experiences, particularly because it is Black Business Month and it's Black August. Black Business Month was first recognized in 2004. It's a national observance dedicated to uplifting and supporting Black-owned businesses. Today, there are over 3 million Black-owned businesses in the U.S. Therefore, Black Business Month is a celebration and call to action as Black entrepreneurs still face systemic barriers like limited access to capital and resources. The month highlights economic impact, encourages consumers to buy Black, and affirms the role of Black businesses in building wealth, jobs, and cultural legacy. Black August was established in 1979 by incarcerated activists, and it honors the memory and work of freedom fighters like George Jackson and others who resisted oppression. It has since grown into a month-long period of reflection, study, and community action centered on Black liberation. Black August ties together historical events such as the Haitian Revolution, Nat Turner's Rebellion, and the March on Washington, all of which happened in August. It emphasizes resistance, radical imagination, and the ongoing fight for freedom. So together, Black Business Month and Black August invite us to think beyond struggle toward rest, creativity, joy, and ownership as acts of power and possibility. With that, I'm sure many of you already know our panelists. You saw the promo videos. Just in case, I'm gonna ask each of our panelists to share their name, their business, and then anything you want the people to know before we dive into this conversation. And we're gonna start with Toni.
Hey everybody, my name is Toni Jones and I am owner of the Bizy Shop, and we are a shop of strategy. If anyone ever wants to talk business, talk strategy, talk pivot, or just looking for a direction to take their business, I'm here to help.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Tasha Hayes, owner of the Blackprint. I'm passionate about creating spaces for those that have been unseen and unheard, whether that's entrepreneurship and in many other spaces in the community. And I appreciate you all for being here today to have this important conversation.
Hey everyone, my name is Kori DaCosta. I'm the co-founder of Prairie Studios and the creator of Biio, a digital business card. If you are interested in tech or business in tech, I love anything that's tech related, anything within our community to help Wichita's tech space grow and to get people more involved in that.
Thank y'all so much. We just learned about Black Business Month, Black August. Both of those highlight history and legacy. What do these observances mean to you as entrepreneurs, and how do they shape the way you show up in your work?
They both remind me that entrepreneurship is more than just business. It's about legacy, liberation, and also being able to create those pathways where those barriers exist. As an entrepreneur, I wanted to be more than just creating and building a business. I want to be a part of the narrative where we said that we were able to overcome resistance and also move towards innovation. They both remind me of survival and possibility. Black Business Month highlights economic impact. It's an opportunity to really start building wealth for our families, but also our communities. Black August keeps me grounded in the struggle and sacrifices, which allow me to be able to dream bigger today. It's not just about profit, but it's about community and really being able to open the door for those who come behind me.
For me, it's a powerful reminder, our resilience, our creativity, and our innovation. I'm actually a third-generation entrepreneur, remembering that my foundation is built on that legacy, creating space for those that come behind me and work alongside me as well.
There's this idea that comes from Stuart Hall's theory of representation. There's this burden of representation when you're in a smaller group or a misrepresented group. If you're white, you can be in media and arts and business and have this freedom to fail. You have this ability to do well or not. It's really up to you. But when you're Black, you have this burden where you may feel like it's all on your shoulders, that if you fail, you're actually failing for all of us. If someone messes up, that means we all messed up, and it may take away from opportunities for us in the future. It makes you want to excel and do well, go above and beyond, grow and expand and do better, because there's this burden, but I also see it as an opportunity.
Being a business owner is hard regardless, but specifically tied to being a Black business owner, what is a barrier that you faced and how have you navigated it?
One of the biggest barriers I've faced is related to funding. Early capital funding for Black businesses is almost non-existent when it comes to funding from families or relatives. I think it's somewhere around 30 to 40% of startups or successful startups report getting funding from family or relatives or someone that's close to them. If you're white or you're in the majority, typically that number of those that are able to get funding or access those resources is somewhere around 40 to 45%. For Black founders, it's somewhere around 20%. For myself, that was pretty much non-existent. I didn't have that ability to access capital to get started on projects. And also, my projects were just kind of far out there. And so trying to find funding for those, it was pretty tough. That drove me to bootstrap my projects and do what I could without having access to capital initially, which turned into a strength. You really start to, I don't like the word grind, but you had to find a different approach to find success in your business. There's a couple of good books I'd recommend. One of them is called The Lean Startup. It is all about the idea that you can accomplish a lot without having to go to a venture capitalist to get funding. There's a lot you can do, the footwork, the groundwork to build your business, to ask questions, to find customers. And the planning, it's really a time investment more so than a dollar investment.
When you talk about access to resources, whether that's funding, visibility, it's an interesting situation for the Blackprint because Blackprint was created to create that space for other entrepreneurs. So it's like doubling down on the fact that I know they have these barriers and challenges to get access to resources for visibility. So not only am I representing myself, I'm representing 67 other brands that are in the Blackprint. So it's like a quadruple challenge for me. How do you navigate that? I really leaned into the community, leaned into entrepreneurs in the space, leaned into building partnerships. How can I not only bring myself up and the Blackprint up, but again, those 67 other businesses? How can we brainstorm together? How can we be creative in attacking this challenge? Kori stated some numbers, we're bootstrapping out here. Let's just be honest when it comes to getting that capital, especially for a startup. Now, when we prove that we can really do this thing, then we got some people that are ready to throw us some coins. There are very few people willing to invest in our ideas when they may not seem credible or it's the first time and you're being innovative in this space. They've never seen it done before. It's hard to show numbers when no one else is doing it. Again, leaning into community, we're stronger together. How can we work together to overcome this challenge that every single generation before me has seen? How can we navigate it together?
A barrier I find is lack of resources, the lack of mentorship pipelines, networks that a lot of other people take for granted. When there's a lack of representation, one, we're fighting not only to be seen and heard, but we're also fighting to even get our foot in the door. How I navigate that has just been intentional. I'm going to create the tables. Make sure I seek meaningful mentors to support and understand my vision, making sure to open that door for other people to come in with me so they don't have to start from scratch.
I'm from Virginia. I've been here almost 4 years. I started exploring and diving into my entrepreneurial journey when I got here. Something I've noticed is the difference in visibility when it comes to Black businesses and Black people in general compared to back home and living in the DC area. I want to talk with Kansas natives about how you intentionally create opportunities for yourself and for others in this ecosystem, and what's something besides capital that you wish existed to make the work more sustainable?
While I'm growing my business, it's also my responsibility to create those opportunities. I'm thinking of how I can replicate that for other entrepreneurs to be able to do it, again, opening that door so they don't have to start from scratch. One thing that I would love to see more is a collective effort in Wichita to, for example, buyback campaigns citywide, having more culturally affirmative places. Thank you to Tasha for what she does for the community, and also seeing policies put in place where we're ensured equity in both procurement and contracts.
I am a Kansas girly, but Kansas City. There was lots of spaces, hubs for entrepreneurs, for Black-owned brands. Coming to Wichita, I'm like, what? There's nothing like pop-ups, great pop-ups. Juneteenth, you see 100 different vendors come out, all doing good stuff right here in Wichita. But after Juneteenth, I have to text them or Facebook follow and stalk them in order to meet at Quick Trip to get the products. That was an opportunity that we need to create this hub, not only so that it becomes more visible for everyone in Wichita, but to support one another. How do we create this community with all these 67 other entrepreneurs that are doing good work but only see each other at pop-ups, and providing them with support and resources as well? That's one reason the Blackprint was born, to create more visibility. This last year, we've been trying to work on creating visibility for other brick and mortars. Doing the Black Business Tour absolutely helps them become more visible. We have so many great places in Wichita that we just don't know about, because when we talk about long-term investment, we have great organizations that help on that startup when it comes to mentorship, but when it comes to helping create sustainable businesses, there aren't a lot of businesses that are helping when it comes to keeping the momentum going, whether that's mentorship, infrastructure. Infrastructure is a huge thing for us. Also, the funding aspect. When you do get into your third and fourth year of business, who's there to support those? Lots of launch and startup organizations that are doing good work, but how do we circle back when we're ready to look into more sustainability and stabilizing our businesses?
That's a good point. A lot of the time, once you're in that third or fourth year, you are past that startup phase. You have a product defined, now you're in the market, but you are most likely out of the media because you're doing a lot more work, you're busy, there's not a lot of visibility. So companies, startups will fizzle out at that stage because they're no longer having that active support they were getting when they were going out and doing the startup stuff. I'm Jamaican, my mom's from Jamaica, we're first-year immigrants. My dad's Black from Kansas. You mentioned pop-ups, and that made me think of my wife will drive to Kansas City because there's the market that has all those shops, I forget the name of it, but there's a place that has the best Jamaican curry. We always go there because I always want to get that really good curry. And I really wish there was someone here. There's, I think, one Jamaican restaurant here in town. They were never open. I don't know if they're open now, but I love that place, and it would be nice if we had more places like that here. To answer your question, from a tech perspective, I've had this vision where we could create a tech expo, not just Black-owned businesses. We want to highlight all tech, but for sure, Black-owned businesses in tech. A place for them to showcase their products and what they're doing and how they're changing the industry or impacting the industry, giving them an opportunity to show off what they're doing. It could go from high school, college, small to medium-sized businesses to large organizations, but the opportunity for startups and founders and entrepreneurs to showcase what technological advances they're digging into or they're interested in. I think that'll create more opportunities for them as well.
I love all these answers, but especially about showing up. We're all guilty of it. We are super excited when the newest, shiniest thing comes out, but after a few weeks, a few months, it's like business as usual. So that's a good reminder to remember. For me, I got to put everything in my calendar. So even if it's a reminder, hey, go back and visit such and such, it's that serious.
It costs nothing to follow someone on social media, like, follow, share. It costs absolutely nothing. Obviously, we want to go in and support them with dollars too, but getting the word out there that they're there and they're doing something awesome.
I want to circle back to something you said, Kori. You said that you don't like the word grind, and I too have an aversion to that word. A leadership panel recently asked what our leadership lens is. Mine is rooted in wellness and well-being, and it's important for me because I left very, very toxic corporate environments, and I do not want to be working for myself and repeating those same toxic ways of working. At the same time, Tasha and I recently had this conversation. When you are a solopreneur, even when you have the support of your family, at the end of the day, everything is on you. You're doing social media, following up on the leads. Entrepreneurship can take over every corner of your life. How do you protect your time, energy, and well-being while still serving your customers, community, and yourself?
As an entrepreneur, I feel like I had to be on all the time at every single event, taking calls no matter what time of day it was, because I was grinding. But I really had to start prioritizing my time and energy because it's not selfish and it's essential. I started to set boundaries around my workday. If someone asked me to do something and I was booked, saying no did not hurt my feelings anymore. I started prioritizing my rest. I write my goals out daily, and sometimes a goal is rest today, Toni. Take the second half off of the day. And I also started setting time aside for my family and my community, just as I would do a business meeting, because I realized for my customers, I need to be able to show up in strength and not exhaustion, just because I was overcommitting myself.
It's easy to be all-consuming when you wear all the hats, as Dr. Tasha said. I'm trying to find more balance and more rest because it's not easy. When you're wearing all the hats, you're running multiple businesses, you're doing all the things, you want to show up, you want to be present, you want to mingle, you want to do all the things because that's what you're supposed to do as a business owner, right? You're supposed to be everywhere everyone wants you to be when they want you to be there. I found that was wrong. I'm still working on it, okay? I'm working on that part. On the balance, it's an everyday thing, utilizing my calendar to schedule out my rest. Just like you schedule a business meeting, scheduling out those vacations. I'm no longer afraid to take those vacations, even if that means closing down the store for 2 days, a weekend. I know some people are like, wow, her hours are inconsistent. Well, because I had to make myself a priority, because honestly, that first 6 months I got sick because I was working so much. So reimagining what it looks like to be a business owner, not being on 24 hours a day, because if my cup is empty, how can I pour into my customers, my community, my other business owners that I work with? Being well is very important and a priority for me now.
I became a stay-at-home dad. That's how I started protecting. When you have kids, they're like disgruntled employers and also disgruntled customers, because you'll say something wrong or say something and give them food or something, and they're like, that's not how it was supposed to be. Or they'll be like, you need to say sorry about this. And anyways, they're amazing. I love my kids. They're awesome. They're on my socks. The kids and my journey as a father, that's really helped me understand how to manage my time better. We want to make sure we're present for them. So if it's not on the calendar, it's probably not going to happen, is what we've realized. We try to make sure that we're putting everything that's related to school on the calendar. Any activities we want to do, if we want to put them in ballet or something, or have piano lessons, we have to put that on the calendar. The deadline for things has to be there. The same thing applies for the business. We were trying to get a new accountant. We kept forgetting to put that meeting on the calendar. So we did not have that meeting because we had so many other things going on. But it's just such an important thing to have your calendar laid out so you can follow along and make sure that you're sticking to the schedule. You mentioned your mental well-being and doing so much work to put your ideas down on paper. Take what's in your head and put it down somewhere so that your mind isn't working 24/7. That's one thing that caused burnout for me, is I have so many ideas flying around. Once I started putting it down on paper, I was able to free up that mental energy and focus on something else, and I can come back to that idea later on when I had the time or the availability to focus on that. Whether it be physical wellness or mental wellness, focus on yourself, make sure that's a priority, get those things out of your head so that you can really have energy to do everything else.
I'm going to take that one, Kori, because it's nonstop. The ideas are nonstop, right. And it can get exhausting. So that's good. Another thing that helps me is I do not believe if I do not go to this particular event, the Lord is finna be like, oh, well, now your business can't thrive. I also like the idea of reimagining what being a business owner looks like, because a lot of times it's external pressure and people telling you, oh, you got to be at this, you got to be at that. You mentioned the Black Business Tour earlier, Tasha. I've heard you share that for you, the Blackprint is a movement. What did you take away from that experience about visibility and support for Black-owned businesses in this city?
The Black Business Tour honed in and confirmed that people indeed do want to support Black-owned businesses, but the awareness was lacking. So many people are like, what? I didn't know. Oh my goodness, cheesecake, coffee shop, bookstore. They just had no idea that these places existed right here in Wichita. So providing the opportunity, that visibility, and then creating a great environment and an atmosphere along with it didn't hurt. We have lots of people knocking down the door asking when's the next business tour. We're excited about that. It creates joy in the community when you know that you can intentionally spend your dollars at these spaces, because we focus on downtown. Other parts of the city are asking. So we know we have the ability to grow. The community is completely behind it for 2025.
Cannot wait. Toni, you founded the Bizy Shop to bring people together across generations, cultures, and backgrounds with a focus on curiosity and growth. How have those values in your identity and perspective as a Black woman shaped the way that you approach your work?
As a Black woman, I was taught the importance of creating spaces for people to feel seen, heard, and also to be valued. Growing up, I often navigated different worlds, generational, cultural, and professional, that really shaped the design of the Bizy Shop. I consider myself a bridge where we are able to use our differences, but not to divide us, and to really spark creativity, innovation, collaboration, and connections. I take my lived experiences and it shapes the way I do things, from the partnerships I choose or even the way I amplify voices that are overlooked. As far as curiosity and growth, I find those to be practices along with values for my customers. When I'm curious, I'm able to uncover their needs more strategically. It also brings a way that can tailor the experience and bring them more value. Growth is giving myself permission to keep learning, even when things get uncomfortable. If people see that I'm invested in my own growth, it'll give them permission to grow beyond what they thought they could. Again, opening that door, I believe that ripple effect is what makes entrepreneurship real powerful.
Kori, with Biio and your other creative projects, you are designing tools for the future in a field where Black entrepreneurs are underrepresented. Have you seen programs or opportunities elsewhere that you think it would be good to bring here to expand the number of Black people in those areas?
Wichita is a great place. There is opportunity. There's definitely quite a few resources. If you tap into those resources, oftentimes those opportunities will come naturally. I always joke because my wife kind of forced me to start networking, and I'm terrible at doing that. And she's like, you need to go out and do stuff and meet people. That has led to more opportunities for me and our business. I'm teaching a class on game design at Prairie Studios. It's a College of Digital Arts. They have classes on game design, game development, creating movies, video production, and making music. Everything you can think of when it comes to digital arts, they have it there. That is an amazing resource we have here in Wichita. It's not being done anywhere else the way we're doing it here, especially in the Black community. Being a geek or being a nerd was kind of looked down upon, at least where I grew up. So if you weren't going into sports or doing something that was not related to being a geek and a nerd, you were made fun of. Now we have this school trying to help people access that area and those resources, teaching you how to do those things properly. We have WC Tech as well as a resource when it comes to the tech space. I don't want to forget Dev ICT. Dev ICT is our local software development community. Check out the website. They have a Slack channel, and I think they have a Discord. They do game jams. They do other events like Code and Coffee, lunches at Groover Labs. The idea is to get anyone that's interested in tech or anyone that is working in tech to get involved, learn about different opportunities and technologies, and help Wichita's tech space grow and expand. The library is another great resource, a free resource. When I started in technology, the first book I read was from the downtown library. I think it was C++ for Dummies. I'm not a dummy, I don't think, but I got that book, and it was one of the things that springboarded me into learning how to code and program and things outside of my college career. On top of that, we have a lot of organizations outside of just tech here in Wichita. Especially in the last 10 to 15 years, there's been push to support entrepreneurship in Wichita. So we have organizations like Create Campaign, which has so many amazing resources and programs that they're doing, including their Spark program. We have Nextus, which has a lot of amazing cohorts to support new entrepreneurs and new businesses. I recommend checking out their programs. But I'll stop there, but there's so many resources here in Wichita that we can tap into now. It's important to talk about those resources so we can have more conversations and talk about what are we missing here and what can we do to fill those gaps and how can we support each other. That helps us build that community around those opportunities and resources and create more opportunities as we move forward.
Regarding Spark, shout out to Cohort 2. I know we have Cohort 4 in the building. Any other cohorts represented?
3.
Okay.
10.
Okay, but Cohort 2 is the best, okay? So, 2 final questions. Shifting back to that idea of wellness and well-being, the concept behind Left on Red was the idea that oftentimes Black authors are left on red in traditional literary spaces. But a lesser known reason behind the name for me was that I wanted Left on Red to be a space where when people come in, it's cozy, comfortable, and you are leaving all the whatever on red. We don't want that energy and those vibes in the store. That was important for me because, again, with my last corporate job, it's so much trauma tied to that job that I rarely, you can ask my husband, shout out to my boo, but I rarely go in that home office because it takes me back to that time. So Left on Red has been a space where I can do the work that I need to do, and I try my hardest to leave it there. If you had to name one thing that you're choosing to leave on red in order to grow as a business owner this year, what would it be?
This year, I chose to leave begging to be in rooms on red. They're actually blocked. For a long time, I thought opportunities meant being invited to the table or having to prove my values to sit at someone else's table. Along the way, I found out and realized my value isn't up for debate, and I will not beg or shrink myself to sit at anyone else's table. I've decided to move in my own authentic voice and authority. I've also chose to create the opportunity to bring people on the way, because if anyone in this room knows me, if anyone ever blocks me from getting in a room, tomorrow look out that window, you're gonna see a skyscraper that I built, because if there's not a lane for me, I'm gonna build a lane for myself.
Love it. Yes.
Well, I have 2. One is the lack of self-care and boundaries, and the other, imposter syndrome.
For me, it had to probably be dreaming. Not that dreaming is bad, but for myself, before I became a father and got into the entrepreneurial world, I was always dipping my toes in and doing different things. I was in different organizations during college and even in high school. The problem was that most of those things were just dreams for me. I couldn't actually visualize a goal or a point where I could actually start doing something. I always thought I needed more knowledge, or I needed someone else to help me do those things or lead me along the way. Thanks to my wife, I kind of learned to start taking action on things, turning these dreams into actionable work items. Like if I say I want to start a business or I want to build this app, we have a big vision for what we want to do. How can we take the scope and work it down and turn it into steps that I can take towards that goal? Or should I even start down that path if it's actually possible? That's been a big change for me. My daughter, she wants to be an astronaut. I want her to keep dreaming, keep working towards that, but it's more than just the dream, right? It's now you're working towards that actively. You're taking steps towards that dream.
Thank y'all for that. Our final question takes us back to Black in One Piece. If you follow Black in One Piece for the past little over a year, you know that it was about seeing all the things that were going on in the news and having the thought that all we're trying to do is make it Black home, Black to the future, Black in One Piece. I started talking to people in my circle and asking, what does Black in One Piece mean to you? Everybody had a different answer, but they all resonated with me. I now pose that question to you all. We talked about legacy, barriers, balance, community. What does it mean to you to be Black in One Piece as a Black entrepreneur?
It means carrying my identity as a power source. I absolutely love being Black. It is being committed to my community and family. It means being rooted in our history and also being proud of our culture and everything I do. As a Black entrepreneur, it's, again, opening up those doors for others to come in and make sure they're uplifted, creating a space where they don't have to start from scratch. It's our time and it's our chance to set the generation behind us up for success versus having to always start over again.
I'm thinking about being whole, holistic wellness. I want to be spiritually, physically, mentally well. Because we do a lot of pouring into our business, into our community, and to each other as entrepreneurs. But we often do that with our cup empty or half full. So I want to be whole. I want the whole cup everywhere I go.
From a cultural perspective or personal perspective, I mentioned that my mom's Jamaican, my dad is Black, but he was out of the picture. So my mom raised 7 kids on her own. We all look pretty different. There's a couple that people would think look like traditional African Americans. Some of us look like we're from Jamaica, so British and Scottish kind of mixed in there. So the first place I heard this term was from my mom, that we don't see color. So it's weird that that became something else. As I came to adulthood, that means something very different now. But for me back then, that meant, oh, my siblings and myself, we're just one, we're a family. For me now, though, it's very different. I never really connected to that other half of my family and that culture because I was focused on my mom's side of the family, that culture. Now it's about, for the sake of my kids and my future family, my wife, I want to tap into that culture and really understand it better and dig into it and bring those two things together as one, because I want my kids to understand, yes, your grandmother's from Jamaica, but your abuela and abuelo are from El Salvador and Mexico. Your grandfather from my side is Black. This is his background. I want them to see all those things, understand what they mean, and really understand that that's what you are made up of, and to be confident and happy about those things, and to see those things as strengths. I know that's more of like a personal perspective, but that is important for me from that side. So.
I love that. Before we dive into the audience questions, let us give a hand to our panelists. We so appreciate y'all's transparency and willingness to share. We'll now open it up for audience questions.
What was all of y'all's motive when going into personal business life? What was like, oh, I need to make a change now, not only for myself, but for the community?
For me, it was during the pandemic when a lot of small businesses were closing down while the giants just kept getting bigger. They're literally getting bigger off of whose backs? The people that are struggling. And I decided that it's time to make a change, that we can build giants to bring our people up with us as well.
Being from Kansas City, there's a lot of spaces where we can patronize Black-owned businesses, Black-owned bookstores, coffee shops. Moving to Wichita, I didn't see that awareness, visibility of those businesses. The first thought was to create a hub based off all the great, innovative, and creative individuals here in Wichita. Created the brick and mortar, and then wanted to move beyond our 4 walls to create, again, visibility and awareness of all the other good boutiques and coffee shops and businesses that are here in Wichita. We just continue to grow and expand with the mission of uplifting and amplifying those brands and businesses. We started with 17 different brands in the Blackprint, and at this point, almost 2 years, we're at 67. So I think we've done our thing there.
A lot happened during the pandemic that pushed me to start doing some work. And then the start of my family. But before that, I've always been in the tech space. I tried to access resources or find resources and opportunities, and they didn't really pan out. I was told no a lot. I was told that's just not possible. I took those no's as absolute at the time. Then as I finished college and moved on to my career, found my wife, we had kids, those things helped me realize that they were dreams. I shared my dreams with someone else. They shot them down. I didn't give them goals or action items to how I could execute those dreams. Now is my opportunity to go back and try to execute on those things so that the people that are like me, that felt like there weren't resources or opportunities, I can share with them the resources and opportunities that I finally found, the community that I finally found, and I can also push them to be trailblazers in whatever space they're in to try to find or create resources there as well.
What do you think we can do as community members to inspire more Black entrepreneurs to move their business here or start a business?
From a tech perspective, this goes back to what I was saying about being a nerd. The conversation about entrepreneurship and business in general is not one that's shared often in family spaces or at home, because at least for myself, my mom was working like 2 jobs. It was never a conversation about, hey, you can start a business or you can take your idea and do something more with it. The library is a source of knowledge and education. Getting people into libraries, educating people on those topics. Like Startup Grind, we had students come in and practice entrepreneurship, ask questions about what it is to be an entrepreneur and learning about what it's like to own a business from other business owners. It's a matter of creating community, safe spaces to have conversations like that, and then getting people to tap into free resources like the library.
People have to see that the community in the city is willing to invest in those entrepreneurs and businesses, kind of how we touched on earlier about the resources. They can move here from any other city, but are they going to have the resources and the ability to sustain their business here after they transfer their business here? What is our city doing to encourage and support those businesses? The RFPs go out. Are they having those conversations with small business owners, Black-owned businesses, to get them and encourage them? Because a RFP is 1 million pages. Now I have to have the time and energy to sit down and understand the information that's in the RFP and then apply as well. When we're being shot down because I'm a small business, I don't have this much capital, I don't have these different things that are crossing us out before we can even get a seat at the table. We have to have the city, county, state really backing and supporting small businesses and putting those policies and legislators in place. Request for proposal. So the city might need a tech. Right now, there's some requests out for janitorial services. Instead of approaching some of our smaller Black-owned janitorial services that they know could do the job, they might put it out, and then a company from Hutch or somewhere else will get the deal. They also have to look at, you don't get paid a net 60, a net 90. A small business doesn't have the capacity to sustain their business, and I'm not going to get paid till 90 days later. What am I going to do for my employees? There's all those different things that are in city proposals or government proposals or local proposals that a small business can't adhere to.
It's really discouraging when you hear, as the project is about to happen, that the city was planning to do something in tech or in business, and they never had a conversation with the small businesses in the city to see if they would be willing to execute on those things. Instead, you see that it was just a deal that happened with a bigger organization or company elsewhere. So there was an opportunity for businesses here in town or people that would be interested to do that work that didn't get to be a part of that conversation.
Earlier you mentioned as entrepreneurs, you're constantly wearing all of the hats for your businesses. What's an unexpected hard skill that you had to develop when you stepped into full-time entrepreneurship?
I had to become a techie. I had paid a website developer to build my first website, and he kept saying, no, that's not possible. No, that's not possible. And I've seen it done on other websites. So I'm like, it is possible. Maybe you just don't know how to do it, but stop saying no. So I paid all this money, and it wasn't what I wanted. So I had to learn how to redo my own websites because at this point I had tapped out. So I became a website developer, which was a skill that I was able to leverage for a piece of my business and make money off of it.
Mine is on the other side. I had to learn to communicate with people. Going out and networking, it's tough. It's draining when you're an introvert, where my wife, she'll go to 10 events and be like, all right, when's the next one? Let's go. You're coming to the next one. For me, I'll go to one event, and after that, I need a week to recharge. It's learning how to interact with people, have conversations, feel comfortable being in discomfort. Like being up here, it's kind of jarring for me, but it's enjoyable to have conversations and interact with others.
I'll definitely piggyback off that. I don't want to be the face of the business. I don't want my face on social media. I don't want to hear my voice, so I never listen to any recordings of myself. I don't even know what category to put that in, but communication, being an introvert, that's been the challenging piece.
Yeah. Being perceived. Yeah.
You learn websites, you do this, Tasha, you're doing all the things. Everybody touched on community in different ways. How are you going to make sure that people, kids coming behind you that have interest in the tech space don't have to do the same things, like try to figure it out by themselves? What's the way you see yourself changing it so it's a little bit easier?
I partner with the Way to Work program for those youth that are doing summer job programs and invite them into the space every summer. Also having interns that come in throughout the school year, whether that's helping me set up inventory or helping me with social media, giving them that opportunity to learn behind the scenes. And not always in a volunteer capacity, because they can be somewhere else doing something for free and it may not be something they're necessarily interested in. But once they get in there and they're learning the system and doing the hands-on, it becomes more interesting to them. Also partnering with people like Dr. Tasha, when she has an intern, they come over and hang out with me a little bit, those type of things. Exposure is the key in order to help them see the possibilities.
I mentioned Startup Week earlier. During Startup Week, we had students come out. Roy hosted that and did an amazing job. He's a creator or founder of STEM music. He did a fantastic job of hosting that and getting students interested and into entrepreneurship and getting them to understand what that means and what that looks like. We're doing more events like that where students can come and learn about what that looks like, what a business looks like, learning about what resources are out there as they're learning about what building a business is like. At Startup Week, I met someone that manages DECA. At East High, they do a competition where the students will pitch business ideas. He has different competitions you can judge for. He asked me to be a judge on one of those sessions. They had the students come through. You would ask them questions about their business plan or about what they're working on. They would have to respond, and then you would judge their response. That is a great opportunity for business owners. That helps drive the next generation, allow them to learn about what your experiences were, but also help them to learn about what it's like to pitch, what it's like to build out a business plan, and all those types of things.
That reminded me about Destination Innovation. They have the summer camp for entrepreneurs and judging those panels too, spending some time in that space.
I haven't spent a lot of time around the youth, but I have done DECA, and I've also worked at WSU with Upward Bound. Every opportunity I have to be around youth, I use it as a coaching moment, making sure I tell them to believe in themselves, don't take no for an answer, and that if anyone can do it, you can do it.
Tasha shared about the Way to Work program. Left on Red participated in that program this year, and I took the young lady with me everywhere because it really is about exposure. She was with me at a womb wellness fair. She went with me to something called The Gathering. Everywhere I was going, she was going with me because I did not feel like the only way she could learn or gather skills was behind the register. When we have the opportunity, either opening the spaces that we have for them to come in and being for real with them, not trying to show them a pretty version of what it is. I really appreciated the opportunity to participate in that program, and I'm hoping to continue doing so.
I want to shout all of you out because being an entrepreneur is a courageous act. So shout out to all of you. I have a perception question. It's kind of loaded, so I want y'all honest feedback. Some perceive being Black owned as meaning the same thing as being Black owned. I know that's never the case. We try to be inclusive. I think one of the most important colors as a business owner is green. How do you battle that perception of balancing or battling that Black owned does not equate to Black owned?
That goes back to the burden of representation. Another part of that is because we feel so like if we fail, that means we're not going to have new opportunities in the future. That makes us feel protective over our resources, or I think that's what people perceive. They think we're protective over it because there's not as many out there. In reality, it doesn't mean the same thing. It means that we want to support those groups because they're marginalized. We want others to go and be a part of that as well. It is tough, right? We want to protect those things, we want them to do well, but we also want them to do well because they're good. We want to support Black businesses, but we also want to let those businesses have the opportunity to do well or to fail freely because they're a bigger part of the community. It's not just saying, go and support our Black business because it's a Black business. They are Black owned, so go and support them and learn about them and be a part of the community, but also treat them the same way you would treat another business when you do go. If you don't like their product, you don't have to buy their product. It just means go show up, give them a chance, give them the opportunity to support them.
What does it mean to be Black owned without being Black only? It's not even a thin line because I feel like I'm going to support Black first. That's my preference to do so. When people feel, oh, I'm not going to support them because they're Black, that's okay because we're going to find a way to do it without you. So being Black owned, while it's not Black only, even if it is, we're going to make it being Black only.
I've had some unique experiences at the Blackprint when some people walk by just because they're passing by and they want to come in. You see everything is Black. I've heard it's blackity black, which is great. We love it. However, I create an environment that welcomes everyone. So at no point should you be offended walking into this space and you see the Black dolls, the Black pins, because representation matters. Although there have been some that have come in and have maybe a negative feeling, what brings me joy and light is the little girls who come in and they have a pillow that they may have seen for the first time that they can see themselves in. When there's a book about STEM, with a Black little girl's face on it, that they can first time see themselves as a pilot or a doctor or something different. Little boys come in and they're seeing affirmation cards with someone on them that looks like them. Although some may have a negative connotation about the space being blackity black, every single young person or individual that comes in there can see themselves at the Blackprint. That's what brings me joy. When I look at my numbers, I look at my customer base, most of the people are not Black that come and shop at the Blackprint. Let's just be honest. That lets me know that the community also understands that it's not Black only, but they're being intentional in being an ally and spending their money where they know it makes the most sense. And they're supporting the stories and the innovators and the creators that are in that space as well.
When it comes to kids, they treat things or approach things from a different lens. They have this lens of purity where when they see, I'll use Spider-Man as an example because it's such a popular character for kids. I have 2 girls. They love Spider-Man. I would never tell them that Spider-Man's for boys, Spider-Man's for girls. So when they walk into the Blackprint, they are seeing these things that represent them as well, but also if they are an Asian kid or a white kid, they're also seeing those things and they're like, oh, that is a beautiful piece of art. They don't necessarily say, oh, that's a Black character, that's a Black person. They're just seeing that as something that they want, and they want it to be a part of what they have. They're not seeing it as that is only for those people. The only time that becomes a thing is when adults try to put it in those categories for them. Sometimes it's important for us to look at it from the lens as a kid and be like, it can be for anybody. We want to support Black businesses, but we want it to be inclusive and everyone to be a part of it as well.
This isn't a question, much as a commentary on what I think personally, this like the burden that really needs to fall on people that are not part of the Black community to see Black-owned businesses as part of the community and to your supporting the community. I think a lot of people, particularly white people, tend to have this putting everybody in boxes and they want to be in what they perceive as safe and they're not used to feeling like the different one, and we need to be a little bit more comfortable putting ourselves in that space because you guys are part of the community, and by doing that, it's going to foster that a little bit more. That's also on when we're shopping and doing business with Black businesses, we go and share that with other people. That's just so fun.
Do you remember your first sale or your first dollar or big project, and how did you commemorate it?
I tried entrepreneurship a couple years ago. I decided I was gonna start locking people's hair. The way the salon did it was that if you wash somebody's hair for them, you got $5. I got my first $5 bill. And I hung it up to make sure that I always remembered the first $5 and that I did this on my own without an employer. I was just hanging up on a picture in my living room, and my husband, when he jumped out there as well, he got his first, and they're sitting side by side.
My first sale was on a soft opening, October 24. I kept the receipt. I did not give it to the customer. I have it in this special little binder where I had all my first business plans, all that. I finished that book with taping the receipt on the last page as that chapter. It's not closed, it's starting.
I see your first sale as my first sale also for the Not Set Up project. The business card memento you have on the wall, I see that as you started to build something, and I got to watch that happen and be a part of that. And as you progressed through your business, I got to support you in that. On the other side of that, for Biio, it was at Fast Track for ICT Up. I think you were the second sale, actually, now that I think about it.
I knew I was up there somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure you were the second sale. But there was another member of the cohort that bought a card for me. That was the first designed card. Before that, it was just a blank plastic PVC card that I used to show off the tech itself. After I got it designed and showed it off a little bit, it was cool to see the support. It was amazing. I definitely remember that and will never forget.
Being in Kansas, you are a lot of times the only one in networking spaces. What is your signature thing, something that you leave behind that people can remember you by in networking?
Biio is about making memorable connections. When I use a digital business card, the idea is that everyone else is going to be using paper cards, but still somewhat novel when you scan a QR code or use NFC to tap a business card and you have all their information come up on your phone. That's something that people see as memorable. The other thing would be, I try to be myself in every situation and really support what the other person's saying. I think people make note of the fact that I'm not making it about myself when I'm in conversation. I really like to listen to others and experience what they're saying and learn about them. It's not just about me trying to get something out of them. It's actually about me trying to get to know that person. I'll probably forget their name, but I'll remember their face and I'll probably remember what we talked about. I think people appreciate that.
As I said earlier, I'm not a networking girly, so small talk is not my thing. What I've leaned into is the neighboring movement's Head, Hands, Heart, where you ask them about something they're passionate about. You talk about something that they do with their hands, something that they know so well they can teach me. I try to lean into that type of conversation to learn more about them and not just talking about the weather. Head, Hands, Heart. You can look that up if anyone's interested.
I think typically what people remember, because everyone always says it, is that my diverse networking. They say, oh, Toni, I seen you at this event, I seen you at this event. And you'll always see me somewhere in an unrelated field, and people really pay attention to that. So being diverse and popping up everywhere.
What advice would you give to someone who is starting a small business?
Wichita has so many resources when it comes to wanting to launch, or you've been brainstorming, you just need to put a business plan together. Tap into some of those resources, go through the cohorts, find a mentor, really lean into the great resources that we have here. A lot of them are low to no cost, and they provide you that good startup type of vibe.
What kind of business are you starting, if you don't mind?
Observing, getting a lot of experience under my belt as of right now, so taking a lot of notes.
To that point, on taking notes, the act of going out and networking, when you're trying to find your customer base, a lot of people think that you need to build your product first, have a prototype, and then start talking to people about it, or that you need to have a website first, or something that's 100% functioning. In reality, all you need is the idea itself to start talking about it. So you can start networking, asking questions to your potential customer segment, trying to find out who that target group, and running some experiments. And by experiment, I mean you have a product idea, you have a hypothesis that this is the target market for it. Go and find those people and ask them if they like what you have and if they would pay for it. If the answer is yes, you've validated your product and you can jump in and start making money on it, essentially.
I will add, stay curious. We all hit on resources, and it really wasn't until just 8 months ago that I was able to uncover resources that I've never heard about, that's been around for years, just 8 months ago. So stay curious. It'll definitely start unlocking doors for you that you didn't even know were out there.
Also, you being here today is one of the steps that you want to take. Showing up is half the battle. When taking advantage of some of those resources that have been mentioned, such as Spark, Community Business Academy, and other cohort programs, taking it back to the wellness and well-being piece, being strategic about what you decide to participate in, and it's the whole what you put into it is what you'll get out of it. If you know that you can't necessarily go to a whole bunch of different events, do a whole bunch of networking, but you do have a 12-week time span to devote to this program, really going into it wholeheartedly. For my experience, and I think I can speak for the other Spark graduates, once you graduate from that program, you are now a Create campaigner, and the opportunities that you continue to get just off of being in that program are priceless, honestly. But I feel like they, and I could be wrong on this, they are paying attention to who is out here still working and trying to apply what they learned in the program, and that can lead to more opportunities. So continuing to show up, and then when you do identify a resource that would work for you, really tapping all the way into it. Okay, I wanna give our panelists an opportunity to share if you have anything coming up that you want the community to know about.
I attended Franklin University for my master's, and we have a leadership seminar or symposium coming up. I have a 25-minute session. So excited about it. And I'm nervous. It was on my vision board at the beginning of the year, and I'm doing it. The topic is building human-centric cultures beyond perks and toward purpose, really highlighting how a business could scale when they really put their people at center.
We're excited to have the 2025 Black Business Tour. If you are not following the Blackprint on social media, do that. We have some announcements that'll be rolling out really soon. I will give you a sneak peek, but I think I'm just gonna give you a little teaser. Follow us on social media.
Sun and Prairie Studios does have a couple of things we're working on, but nothing concrete to share yet. Follow on social media. Keep an eye out.
Thank y'all so much. Be on the lookout for all the things that Toni and Kori and Tasha have coming up. And until next time, stay Black in one piece.